Okay. All right. So we're going to start this video. This video is intended to assist players in getting familiar with the assets and process of setting up a table for using Tabletop Simulator 40k. So the table that we're using in this example is Hutber's table setup. This is built off of the original FTC competitive 40k map program that they used. Hutber's has a couple more bells and whistles that are added, so our players seem to like it more, so we're using that as a primary going forward, but if you're using FTC, a lot of the things are very similar. So when you open up the map, the first thing you're going to be presented with is whether or not you want to be the red or the blue player, or possibly a spectator. So for this, I'm going to select red player, and now I'm in the game. My name up here on the top right, that's going to have the red connotated with it. I happen to be the server host. Any other players joining, they're going to give the option only 2 players can select a color unless you pick a greater number of players. There is a 2v2 option. We have not messed with this too much, so I'm very unfamiliar with it. We're only going to be proceeding with the 1v1 option for this. As you load in, you're going to select your battlefield size. The default is Strike Force at 44 by 60, but you do have the option of going up to Onslaught or coming down to a Combat Patrol game. So we're going to stay at Strike Force. We're going to select 1v1 for the game. And here we're going to go ahead and we have to select a map that we're going to play on. This does give you the Tournament Companion option to track the alphabetical association with these missions. So A is Take and Hold with Tipping Point, and your option of layouts 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8. Down here, this is associating those letters with what you get up here. So if we're going to go ahead and pick Take and Hold, we can randomly draw one, or we can choose to select the layout from an option that we choose here. All the layouts that are associated in here are the legal layouts that could be. So if you're selecting a random layout, you can just go ahead and draw one randomly. If you have a preset layout that you're using for this particular mission, like we will in the TTS leagues when we run them, we give the players the mission, the map, and the layout for that week. So you're going to go ahead and select one of them. So for this example, let us just select GW Layout 8. So we're going to go ahead and pull that out. Flip it over. And if you randomly dart, it'll do the same thing. Now, from this point, very simple. We're going to click Load Map. And we now have our Layout 8 from the GW maps already on set up for us. The next thing we're going to do from that is we're going to go up here to the top, and I'll just explain a couple of layout options or features that we have here, being that the map's already set up. We're going to come up top here, and when you look at it, we're going to see a few things. Starting from the very top of the page, we have our clocks, in case players want to use those. We have mission selection. So again, this is going to be on the alphabet. So this is going to be Tipping Point on mission A. The primary is going to be Take and Hold. If you hit Alt over any one of the cards, it'll zoom into that and give you a bigger example. So Take and Hold, scrolling up to it, this is going to be our mission for this game if we were about to play it and not just be doing this for a tutorial. Our Tipping Point is going to be our layout, so we're going to set that up here. Down here we have our scoring. Looks a little confusing at the first glance. Down here we have challenger cards. We're not making use of this anymore, but it's still a feature to be optioned in case players choose to use challenger cards. Then you have your primary scoring for player 1, your secondary, your first secondary, and your second secondary. And this is mirrored over on the other side. It can get a little confusing, but this is going to tick up, tick down as you go. During the course of the game, players are going to have their mission deck selected, which we'll go over that in a second. At the start of the round, players are going to hit draw. If you have an existing mission, it's going to only draw up to the second one for you. You can discard the secondary, or you can recycle the secondary in case that applies. For some missions, say, put this back in the deck and draw a new one. That'll take care of you there. Going down, this is the battle round. We'll go ahead and get to the point where we'll start the game, and when players are selected to go first or second, the battle round will tick up as players run through the motions, and each player turn will be tracked here. So this is helpful in case red player is the top of the turn, blue player is the bottom of the turn. You'll see top of turn 3. This will still be on 2 because he hasn't gone yet. Victory points, everybody starts with the automatic 10. as you tick up your scoreboard up here, it'll reflect it down here automatically for you. That way players can see what their current score is, and this is just going to track the round to round for everything. One thing this does not do, though, is as you complete your missions and you discard them, you're going to manually tick up your score here. The missions will not necessarily appear in the order that you discarded them, depending on how they go to the discard pile. So just keep that in mind. Then you have your command points. I will say each round, not each round, but each command phase, this will automatically tick up to reflect that the players have gained one. As you use them, you manually tick it down. So you'll get one, tick down, and then obviously if you generate an additional one for a battle round, you're going to have to manually tick that up. Then we get into down here, the next section. This is going to be the actual deployment map options. So this is where your deployment zones come from. So we're doing tipping point. We're going to select that, and we'll see down on the map here, this has set up our deployment zones for us. So we can go about setup with a little less hassle of measuring things, because this will just stay stagnant for us. Models can go through these. These are transparent, so they don't create any kind of physical collision at all. So you're going to want to keep that up to select for the game. This will be where you start game. If during the course of the game you're doing secondaries that require knowledge of where table quarters are or anything like that, you're going to be able to turn those on during the gameplay. And again, these will not cause any kind of collision, so they're not in the player's way at all. So for example, deployment zones, turn them off, turn them on. Strategic reserves, this lets us know the 6 inches of the table edge. 9-inch zone, that'll be 9 inches from the table edge. And area denial for that actual dedicated secondary. This will show us 3 from the center, 6 from the center, and table quarters. So if you're doing table quarters and you need to know area denial, there you go. That'll tell you all that you need to know for that information. And players can hot click that on and off during the course of the game. Then we'll get down to the dice rollers. So while players are on their side of the table, we're going to have access to the dice roller. If you want to use a custom dice, you're just going to pick up that dice, drop it over here, select this button, and that will change whatever dice are generated into whatever the example is that you gave it. So starting over here, you're going to have the number of dice that you want to do in case you don't see the number here. So let's go ahead and say, well, that's a big number. Let's do 12. Spawn dice. There's 12 dice for me. Below that, there will be revert the roll, roll 2d6, roll 1d6. Just give us an instant roll right there. Or we can clear the dice. Instant roll. Good for like a charge roll. Now down here, what you'll see is this shows us that one dice rolled a 4, one dice rolled a 6. Down here, it'll give us the total of number of dice in the tray at the time and the total value of those dice rolled. So if this was a charge roll, we know that it's a 10-inch charge. There's your 2 dice. You can clear that out. This window down here is a reflection of your opponent's dice rolling tray. As it stands here, you're going to see the number of dice, the value of the dice rolled. This will copy Blue's dice. Doing that is just a quick way for your opponent to say you have 7 saves. You can just copy his dice and roll that to give your armor saves or feel no pains or whatever you need to do. Then we get over to the actual tray area ourselves. While you're in the dice tray, you can generate 2d6, 3d6, etc. over here, or as we talked about, you can generate a specific number. You're going to select roll all dice to give you all of that you need. Now, these buttons down bottom will be associated with certain things during the hit and the wound phase at all. So lethal hits, we click that. It's going to immediately remove the 6s from the tray and put them up here to be tracked as already succeeded wound rolls. If we bring them back down and we put them here, if we want to go ahead and do sustained hits, that will generate the additional hits here. There we go. And you also have the option, clearing that out. There we go. We can do lethal and sustained. So in that case, it'll move the 2 successes up top, but give us 2 additional dice to reflect the fact that we had sustained hits. You just go ahead and click those at the time the dice are generated, and you're perfectly fine. Now, as far as rerolls go, well, if you want to reroll the white row of buttons here, this reflects your reroll options. If you left click on it, it will re-roll the 2 dice, or it'll re-roll that row of dice. If you right click on it, it will re-roll that row plus every row below it. So we can go ahead and right click here, and then it re-rolls everything. Now, even though the dice do get stacked because a similar result rolls up, it's still tracked over here on the side. It's only when you pick it up that the dice disappear. The same goes for deletion. So if we go ahead and we say, okay, we want to delete only just the row of 2s because those are misses and I don't get any rerolls, left click, that'll get rid of it. If you right click on the red, that's going to delete that row and everything below it. It's a quick way to clear out the dice tray, show your opponent what they need to roll, and that's just kind of it. Right above it, we also have an area to generate bubbles. 1-inch bubble for engagement range, 3-inch bubble for any of the purposes that you need to check for that. 6, 9, 12. We'll pull some models into the board and we'll throw some bubbles up on that, but that is just right here. And we have our control board. This will give us our stat helper. When we select a model, all of the weapon profiles, they'll appear down here. That way we don't have to look up the cards or double check anything like that. Same thing with some of these other options. If you want to do action tokens, fast rolling, show dice bags, a lot of these are not super relevant. Now, before we start a game, what we need to do is generate our army, which we should already have from our objects. We'll go into saved objects and let's pull up the tutorial army that we made. So we are going to left click. That'll drop our models on the table. Then right click. So that'll clear it out. So now this is our army. As we did before in a previous tutorial, you'll see all of these models have an associated data sheet. You can hover over it or select one and it'll bring up all this information. If you would like to color code your armies, not your armies, to color code your models to just try to give a little differential between them, select one, select a color at the bottom, and now this model will highlight green. That will make him stand out from the other War on Brigands in case I need to track it for any reason. When we get in here, you're going to see at the bottom you have a tactical deck of cards for your secondaries. Each player is going to have to make a decision. These are your fixed secondaries, and these are just tactical representation cards. So if you're going to go fixed objectives, you're going to hit F over the 2 that you're choosing. If you're going to go tactical, you're going to hit F over the 2 at the end. Now, once that's done, there's going to be a button on your side of the table that's going to say lock in secondaries. So you're going to flip the 2 that you're going to use. If it's tactical, it's just these 2 generic on the end. And that is going to go ahead and create your tactical deck up here. Your opponent's going to need to do the same thing on their side of the table. Yeah, it might not let me just because there's no second player there doing that. But once they go ahead and do that, it'll create the tactical deck up on this side. We can get to the point where we can go ahead and red player to go first. Players are going to dice off. When they decide that, you're either going to click left, blue player or red player to start the game, and then you actually start the game. You can force start it, which is what I'm going to have to do just because I do not have a second player to lock in their secondaries. Okay, so it's going to give me a little hard time about starting the game. I can still do a lot of this stuff without it. At the start of the game, you're going to draw your secondaries. These will just represent flipping over, and your secondaries will appear here. Once again, at the end of the turn, if you scored them, you can, or you just choosing to throw them away, you're going to select discard, and that will toss them out of the way, and then you'll have space to draw 2 more. As I said, the command points will click up. And let's set up the deployment zones to show this. So again, with your models, you're going to be able to set your models up on the table, put them here. And these features here are really nice because if you select your model and you want to create a 9-inch bubble so your opponent knows where they cannot land on deep strike or scout moves or anything like that, there you go. You can clear this at any point by just selecting clear bubbles. That will clear all the bubbles from the table, not just the ones you made. So you could have a couple models selected, give them all a 9-inch bubble. This selected the dice, and then you can clear all the bubbles. That's all gone. And then the objective markers themselves can be interacted with in a very easy way. You right click, you can go to state, and what this will do is it'll give you red's objective, blue's objective, terraform, and this one right here is a cylinder, just in case you needed to get a 3-dimensional view of the objective marker because something was in the way. That blocked it, so we're going to go ahead and select that down. So let's say you have sticky objective. I can go ahead and say red's objective. Now this is not going to be yellow anymore. It's going to represent that it is under my control, and it will be under my control for the rest of the game. Some people like to put a little banner or token down on it. I think that flipping it this way is a little bit more visually easier to track for players. And again, if we select our model and we go to our show weapon stats, we'll see right here that this particular model I selected has access to a Havoc multi-launcher, Reaper Chain Talon, and a Slaughter Claw. So as we're going through the process of what this model can attack with, this is going to give us the dice, the range, the strength, and all of that down here in an easy way to track it. You can go ahead and when you click on it too, it will just generate that many dice for that weapon. It's a little shortcut. And that is fundamentally the way that this Hutber's tabletop generation works. Hopefully you find it helpful. I will show again. This is under Workshop. We're going to go to right here and Info. In case you want to download this, you're just going to go to the Steam Workshop and you're going to look for either Hutber's or the creator, which is Hutber himself, Hutber. And you're going to subscribe, and that will download this asset for you for use in your games. And this is, like I said, the program that we're using for our Tabletop Simulator leagues. Each week we will provide the players with the mission, deployment, and Games Workshop's approved layout. I hope you found this educational, and I hope it helps you get the game set up for your own personal use, and that you'll think about joining us in our next Tabletop Simulator League when we post it in our local Discord. Thank you.